How much is it gonna cost, Will?
$200.
Good heavens. $200? I haven't got that kind of money.
Yeah, no. Not many people do these days.
Remember when CBS gave us a Farmhouse, A Poor Family, and the warmest Goodnight in television history? Yeah, that was The Waltons, the gentle family drama that ran for 212 episodes from 1972 to 1981, starring Richard Thomas as John Boy, Michael Learned and Ralph Waite as Olivia and John, Will Geer and Ellen Corby as the world's most opinionated grandparents, and a small army of siblings who grew up right in front of America. What started as a simple Christmas TV movie became a 9-season institution. A show so wholesome it was basically the network equivalent of eating your vegetables, except millions of people tuned in willingly. But behind all that homespun charm were recasts, real heartbreaks, network scheming, unexpected controversy, and enough weird production twists to fill John Boy's journal twice over. Today, we're diving into 15 weird and wonderful facts about the Waltons, the show that turned bedtime goodnights into a national ritual and outlived every network executive who tried to bury it. Now, before we head up the mountain, hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel more than Grandpa's moonshine helped him sleep. Now, let's get into the countdown with number 15. CBS tried to bury the Waltons, and it didn't work. When CBS launched the Waltons in 1972, the network didn't exactly roll out the red carpet. They parked it in a Thursday time slot so crowded with hits, it was practically an ambush. On NBC, The Flip Wilson Show, a ratings powerhouse. On ABC, you had The Mod Squad, an all-style and swagger show, and CBS basically dropped a gentle family drama into a cage match and waited for the inevitable. The assumption was simple. The Waltons would get crushed. The network could shrug, cancel it quietly, and move on with their lives. Even Michael Learned and Ralph Waite thought the show was dead on arrival. Spoiler alert, it wasn't.
Well, why don't I clear myself?
Yes.
Because I don't have to clear myself with anyone.
Turns out viewers were starving for something that didn't involve car chases or laugh tracks. The ratings climbed and then kept climbing like they had something to prove. The quiet little Depression-era drama started overtaking the very programs it was supposed to lose to. The Flip Wilson Show eventually ended, the Mod Squad faded out, and the Waltons kept going for 9 seasons. CBS wanted a quiet cancellation, but what they got was a cash cow they never saw coming. By the end of its first season, the show was winning its time slot and collecting awards. It was the first sign of something CBS hadn't counted on. People weren't just watching the Waltons, they were connecting to it, and that connection was about to become the foundation of a television institution. Number 14, fans saved the Waltons more than once. The Waltons didn't survive 9 seasons because CBS loved it. It survived because viewers absolutely refused to let it die. Every time the network got twitchy, shuffling the time slot, floating cancellation rumors, and doing the thing that networks do when they're ready to move on, the mailbag started filling up. Not with casual feedback and not with polite suggestions, we're talking full handwritten letters, the 1970s version of crashing a server.
I think I'm out of business. I've covered every single house I can get to.
Sure hope you had sense enough to stay away from those Claibornes.
Of course I didn't go there, though I did think about it.
Oh, I hate those Claibornes. Me too.
Maybe Stuart Lee will get killed by an escaped criminal who sneaks up and steals his car.
Families wrote in, schools wrote in, churches wrote in, scout leaders, librarians, grandparents who watched with their grandkids every single week. The volume was relentless. CBS kept testing the waters and the audience kept shoving them back to shore. The network scheduled the Waltons, but the viewers owned it, and every time CBS forgot that, a few thousand letters reminded them real quick. At one point, viewer backlash became so overwhelming that CBS executives openly admitted they had underestimated the show's fan base. Internal memos described the audience response as unprecedented, with one executive noting the outcry was stronger than anything they'd seen since Star Trek got canceled. The Waltons wasn't just a TV show, it was comfort, memory, and apparently something worth looking a whole lot of stamps for. Number 13, a horror movie composer created the Waltons theme. The Waltons begins the same way every time, with that warm, sweeping theme that feels like a musical sunrise rolling over the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's gentle and cozy, The kind of tune that tells you exactly what kind of show you're about to watch before a single word is spoken. So, who wrote it? Well, it's the same guy that scored Alien, The Omen, and Planet of the Apes. Composer Jerry Goldsmith had already scored The Homecoming, the 1971 TV movie that introduced the Waltons. But when CBS picked up the series, producers wanted something livelier and more memorable for the weekly format. Goldsmith delivered a brand new theme, a simple, folksy melody built around a zither and guitar, perfectly evoking the Depression-era setting. The guy who made you afraid to be in space also made you feel at home on Walton's Mountain. Now that's range. Goldsmith won an Oscar, multiple Emmys, and became a legend among film composers, but not for the Waltons. Even so, that theme became one of his most beloved television works. Those first few notes didn't just open an episode, they told audiences it was time to settle in. Number 12, the Walton house was Hollywood's favorite fake farmhouse. The famous white farmhouse on Walton's Mountain looked like it belonged on a postcard. Cozy porch, warm lighting, the kind of place that made you want to churn butter and say grace before dinner. But here's the thing, it wasn't real. The Walton house was a facade on the Warner Brothers backlot, a shell with charm and absolutely nothing behind those windows. There was no kitchen, no bedrooms, no John Boy scribbling upstairs. When actors appeared in those second-floor windows, they were standing on scaffolding behind the set. Just plywood, good camera angles, and a whole lot of imagination. The original facade eventually met a dramatic end. It burned down in an electrical fire in the 1990s, but Hollywood doesn't let a good fake farmhouse stay dead. The set was rebuilt for the Waltons reunion movies and later got a second life as the exterior of the Dragonfly Inn in the first season of Gilmore Girls. Lorelai Gilmore? Meet John Boy. Meanwhile, the real heartbeat of the story came from Earl Hamner Jr.'s hometown of Schuyler, Virginia. His actual childhood home is still standing, though it's much smaller than the TV version. Fans started showing up anyway. Then more fans. Then enough fans that the tiny community became an unexpected tourist destination, eventually opening the Waltons Mountain Museum. The house was fake, but the nostalgia was real, and a Virginia town nobody had heard of became a pilgrimage site for people chasing a memory built on scaffolding and plywood. Number 11, the Waltons was supposed to prove a point, but it proved the wrong one. The Waltons might feel like it floated down from a mountain cloud wrapped in homespun wisdom, but it was actually born because Congress scolded television like a disappointed parent. Lawmakers in the early 1970s were loudly complaining that TV had become a moral wasteland. There was too much edge with not enough heart, and definitely not the kind of programming you'd want your senator's mother watching. The FCC and Senate Subcommittee on Communications held hearings criticizing networks for glamorizing violence and ignoring family-centered stories. The message was clear: clean it up or we'll do it for you. Enter the Waltons, a Depression-era family, simple values, and kids who respected their elders and said goodnight to each other like civilized humans. It was the television equivalent of a handwritten apology note to Washington. CBS fast-tracked the show to prove it was listening, but they weren't exactly rooting for it either. Cammie Cotler, who played Elizabeth Walton, later summed up the network's real strategy. They thought, we can just tell Congress America doesn't want to see this. In other words, the Waltons was supposed to be a convenient failure, a way to check a box, shrug at Washington, and go back to business as usual. Congress wanted family values? Fine. Here's your family values. Watch it tank. Except it didn't tank, and CBS's cynical little experiment backfired in the best possible way. Number 10, before sitcom fame, John Ritter was Reverend Fordwick. Long before John Ritter became a household name for turning physical comedy into high art, he spent his early career doing something much more respectable. Ritter appeared in 18 episodes of The Waltons as Reverend Matthew Fordwick, the earnest young minister of Walton's Mountain.
Well, when you catch up with that catfish, don't you forget me, Mr. Walton. I'm looking forward to blessing that meal.
John, we're ready. Children, Mary Ellen, Jason, it's time.
Come along now.
Sermons, weddings, gentle wisdom dispensed with a soft smile. Not exactly the guy you'd picture pratfalling into a sitcom legend, but there he was, blending right into the show's steady small-town rhythm. Then, Three's Company came calling. A lead role, a comedy, a chance to become one of the most recognizable faces on television.
Ah! Oh.
Good morning, Mrs. Roper.
Oh, good
Oh,
morning.
hi, Jack. How have you been? I haven't seen you for a while.
Here's your wallet. You left it in my bed.
Ritter didn't exactly agonize over the decision. Reverend Fordwick quietly exited Walton's Mountain, and Jack Tripper stumbled onto the scene. One chapter closed with another one opening, with significantly more landlord deception and misunderstood eavesdropping. His time on the Waltons was brief, but it marked the start of a career that would make him a TV icon, from Sunday sermons to slapstick chaos. Number 9. Real life shaped the Waltons in ways no script could predict. The Waltons looked like a carefully crafted family drama. They were warm, steady, and predictable in the best way possible. Behind the scenes, real life kept barging in and rewriting the plan. The most emotional shift came in 1978 when Will Geer, the actor who played Grandpa, passed away from respiratory failure shortly after filming wrapped on season 6. Most shows would have handled this the usual way. A vague explanation, a quiet exit, maybe Grandpa's visiting relatives for the rest of eternity. The Waltons didn't do that. The producers made a rare choice for 1970s television. They acknowledged his death on screen. The season 7 premiere, The Empty Nest, revealed that Grandpa had died while planting tree seedlings on Walton's Mountain. The episode picked up 6 months after his passing, with the family gathering at his gravesite, sharing stories and finding their way through the grief together.
Got a real nice spot up here, Grandpa. Had a little bit of rain this season, so everything's growing real nice.
The characters mourned because the cast was mourning. The tears were real and nobody had to fake a thing. Grandpa wasn't the only time life hijacked the script. Ellen Corby suffered a stroke in 1976, and instead of recasting Grandma, the writers shaped her character's recovery around Ellen's own.
There's no need to rush, Grandma. Take all morning if you want to. All afternoon, for that matter.
Most shows would have papered over the cracks, but the Waltons let them show, and audiences loved it more for it. Number 8, Ralph Waite's real life shaped the heart of John Walton. John Walton Sr. felt like the kind of father who didn't need to raise his voice to be heard. The guy who could fix your roof, solve your crisis, and tuck you in, all with the same calm energy. Television dads rarely land that well. Most of them feel like they wandered in from a cereal commercial. Ralph Waite didn't fake it. He brought it with him. Before he became the patriarch of Walton's Mountain, Waite earned a master's degree from Yale Divinity School and became an ordained Presbyterian minister. He also worked briefly as a social worker before pivoting to acting. That background didn't disappear when the cameras rolled. And there was something else, something heavier. In 1964, Waite lost his eldest daughter, Sharon, to leukemia. She was 9 years old. By the time The Waltons premiered, he already knew what it meant to be a father facing real loss. Years later, he'd run for Congress in California 3 times, never winning, but always showing up. The kindness in his scenes, the quiet authority in his voice, and the sense that this man actually understood what he was talking about. Ralph Waite wasn't playing a good man on TV, he was just being one. Now, we're going to take a quick pause because I have to know, who was your favorite Waltons character? Let us know in the comments, and while you're down there, be sure to like and subscribe. We drop new weird facts and nostalgic deep dives every single week. Alright, now let's get back to the countdown with number 7. The Walton kids stayed a real family long after Goodnight. When a long-running TV series wraps, the cast usually scatters. New projects, new lives, maybe an awkward reunion 20 years later where everyone pretends they kept in touch. It's the Hollywood way. The Walton kids, however, they never got that memo. The young actors who played the Walton children spent nearly a decade growing up together on set, and when the series ended in 1981, they never disappeared. They made 6 reunion TV movies over the next 15 years. 3 in 1982, 3 more in the 1990s. You don't keep signing up for that unless you actually want to be there. And it didn't end there either. They gathered for a 45th anniversary event in Virginia, a 50th anniversary celebration of the original TV movie, even a virtual reunion during the pandemic to raise money for the Actors Fund. To this day, cast members still show up together at fan conventions, not as a publicity stunt, but because they actually like each other. They laugh together, reminisce together, rag on each other about who forgot lines and who hogged the craft services table back in 1974. The Waltons sold America on the idea of a close-knit family, and it turns out the actors weren't faking it. Number 6, Goodnight John Boy came straight from the real Hamner house. That soft, steady chorus of Goodnights drifting through the Walton farmhouse became one of the most recognizable sounds in television. Right up there with
Live long and prosper.
Except this one made your mother tear up a little bit. Earl Hamner Jr. grew up hearing his own family say goodnight to each other at the very end of every day. A simple tradition, nothing fancy, just voices bouncing through a small Virginia house until everyone had checked in. When the writers added it to The Homecoming, the 1971 TV movie that launched the franchise, it was meant to appear once, a gentle closing note and nothing more. One and done. Then, audiences lost their minds over it. Something about those good nights felt honest. CBS saw the reaction and did what networks do when something works. They made it permanent. That one-off moment became the show's signature ending, a ritual viewers expected as much as the opening credits. A borrowed family habit from rural Virginia turned into the heartbeat of primetime television. Earl Hamner just wanted to capture something real, but he accidentally invented a catchphrase that outlived the show by decades. Number 5, when a president used the Waltons to dunk on The Simpsons. Remember when the Waltons was so wholesome it became the gold standard for how American families were supposed to behave? Yeah, well in 1992 that reputation got dragged into one of the funniest TV showdowns in history, courtesy of the President of the United States. It's the middle of George H.W. Bush's re-election campaign and he's giving a speech about family values, trying to rally America around good old-fashioned decency. And in front of the National Religious Broadcasters Convention, he decides to take a swipe at the most chaotic animated family on primetime.
We are going to keep on trying to strengthen the American family to make American families a lot more like the Waltons and a lot less like the Simpsons.
No! Nothing like using a Depression-era family drama to dunk on a cartoon dad who strangles his own son on a weekly basis. It was supposed to be a compliment to the Waltons and a warning shot to the Simpsons, but here's the thing, the Simpsons never let a good punchline go to waste. Just 2 days later, Fox aired a rerun of Stark Raving Dad, except this time, the episode started with a brand new cold open, created specifically to clap back at the president.
American families a lot more like the Waltons and a lot less like the Simpsons.
Huh? Hey, you're just like the Waltons. You're playing for an end to the Depression, too.
Instant TV history. The joke landed because it hit both shows perfectly. The Waltons' eternal optimism and The Simpsons' blunt sarcasm. It was a rare moment where a 1970s family drama and a 1990s cartoon ended up in the same punchline thanks to a presidential speech. Grandpa Walton probably would have chuckled, Bart definitely wouldn't have cared. Number 4, the Waltons recast almost everyone before episode 1. Now, before the Waltons became the gold standard for wholesome family television, it started life as a 1971 TV movie called The Homecoming: A Christmas Story. The movie struck a chord with viewers. It was warm, emotional, and grounded in real family dynamics. But when CBS ordered a full series, they quietly made a radical move. They recast almost every adult. Patricia Neal, an Oscar winner, played Olivia in the movie. But Neal had suffered a series of strokes years earlier, and the grind of a weekly series was simply too demanding for her recovery.
If that's what you want, couldn't you still try?
Oh, no, not in these times. You know, it takes a college education to be a writer, and anyway, even if we did have money, it wouldn't be right to risk it all on me.
Michael Learned stepped in and made the role her own. Andrew Duggan gave way to Ralph Waite. Even Grandpa was recast, with Will Geer stepping in for legendary ventriloquist Edgar Bergen. It was less a gentle transition and more a parental reboot. The only adult who carried over from the film was Ellen Corby as Grandma Esther Walton. And yet, the gamble worked. The new cast defined the roles. The emotional core of the series wasn't built in that first movie, it was built the moment these new actors stepped onto Walton's Mountain and turned a one-off holiday special into a 9-year institution. Number 3, Judy Norton posed for Playboy to break the Mary Ellen image. By the mid-1980s, Judy Norton had a problem. Hollywood still saw her as Mary Ellen Walton, the dependable, wholesome eldest daughter.
Don't you believe in God?
He didn't say that. He just doesn't go to church.
But you are a Christian.
No.
Well, there's no reason why he has to be a Christian. Most of the people in the world aren't Christians. In fact, if we'd all been born in India, we'd probably all be Hindus.
The Waltons had ended in 1981, but casting directors kept treating her like she was living on Walton's Mountain. So, she made a dramatic move. In August of 1985, Norton posed for Playboy, deliberately shattering the Mary Ellen image in the most headline-grabbing way possible. The idea was simple: show the world she was a grown woman, not a character frozen in time. It was bold, direct, and her representatives at the time told her it was exactly the right move. It wasn't. The photo shoot created a stir, sure, but instead of opening doors, Norton has said it made her post-fame journey more complicated. The new opportunities she hoped for didn't materialize the way she expected. In later interviews, she's been candid about regretting the decision and feeling like she got bad advice at a vulnerable point in her career. Mary Ellen wouldn't have done it. Judy Norton did, hoping it would change everything. Sometimes the boldest moves don't land where you aim, and Norton has been honest enough to say so. Number 2, the John Boy swap America didn't like. Remember when the Waltons tried to recast John Boy like we wouldn't notice? For 5 seasons, Richard Thomas was John Boy. He was the narrator, the moral compass, the future novelist scribbling his way through the Great Depression, but by the end of season 5, Thomas was ready to move on. Miniseries, stage work, movies, anything that didn't involve saying goodnight to his siblings for the rest of his life. To their credit, the show didn't just have John Boy vanish into thin air, they wrote him out gradually. First, off to college, then to New York for a publishing job, then to Europe as a war correspondent during World War II. At one point, the family believed he was missing in action, and for 2 full seasons, Thomas kept showing up, via phone calls, brief visits home, just enough to remind everyone he was still part of the family. On top of that, John Boy's voice never actually left. Creator Earl Hamner Jr. provided the opening and closing narration for every episode, so even when Thomas wasn't on screen, audiences still heard John Boy guiding them through each story. The show did everything right: careful transition, logical storyline, 2 years of preparation. Then season 8 rolls around, the family hears a knock at the door, and in walks a completely different John Boy. Same name, same family, same haircut, different everything else. Robert Whiteman took over the role, and bless him, he walked straight into a TV minefield.
Well, Sergeant, what's your complaint? Too loud, too soft, or just too marvelous for words?
No complaints. I was just wondering, haven't I heard that song before?
That's an original approach. Whatever happened to Haven't We Met Somewhere?
My brother wrote that melody, I'd swear to it.
Fans took one look and collectively said,
Hey, what is...
It was like coming home and discovering your older brother had been replaced with a polite stranger, and it wasn't just fans who had a problem. Michael Learned, who played Olivia, was so uncomfortable with another actor replacing Richard Thomas that she decided to leave the show in season 8. The recast didn't just lose viewers, it cost the Waltons their TV mom. And the wildest part, creator Earl Hamner liked Whiteman's take better. He said Whiteman's quiet, thoughtful John Boy was actually closer to his own real personality. Fans didn't care. They wanted their original journal writer back. But years later, Richard Thomas returned for the reunion movies, and suddenly it felt like the real Walton family was back together again. So yes, the Waltons tried one of television's riskiest stunts, replacing one of the most recognizable faces in an ensemble drama. They planned it carefully, they eased audiences into it, and they did everything by the book, yet somehow, decades later, fans are still arguing about it. Turns out the real hardship on Walton's Mountain wasn't the Depression, it was expecting America to just go along with a brand new John Boy. Number 1, the surprisingly wild side of Grandma Walton. Remember Grandma Esther Walton? She was calm, pious, gentle, soft-spoken. You know, the moral center of Walton's Mountain.
There you go, Grandma.
Oh, John Boy, how's the sermon coming?
Well, brace yourself, because behind the scenes, Ellen Corby was none of those things. Off camera, Corby was known for having a salty vocabulary that could strip paint off a barn. Cast members remembered her as warm and professional, absolutely, but also fiery, opinionated, and never shy about sharing exactly what she thought of a script change. And trust me, Grandma's critiques did not come wrapped in homespun wisdom. See, when Corby got a script, she didn't just read it, she edited it. She would sometimes rewrite entire scenes to give herself sharper lines or stronger emotional beats, and when producers quietly put the dialogue back the way it was, she would unleash what creator Earl Hamner Jr. politely called a barrage of abuse littered with expletives. Imagine the Grandma Walton voice, but saying things absolutely not fit for CBS. And here's the thing, she'd earned the right. Before the Waltons, Corby had been in Hollywood for decades. She worked as a script girl at RKO and Hal Roach Studios, wrote screenplays, and appeared in more than 200 films and TV shows, from It's a Wonderful Life to Shane to Vertigo. She earned a Golden Globe and a Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination for 1948's I Remember Mama, and popped up in everything from I Love Lucy to The Addams Family to Dragnet. This wasn't some sweet newcomer learning the ropes. This was a Hollywood veteran who knew exactly how a scene should play and wasn't afraid to say so loudly. She was also a chain smoker with a playful, sometimes sarcastic friendship with Will Geer, who played Grandpa. Their chemistry on screen? Some of that was just two feisty pros goading each other between puffs. So, while audiences saw a gentle grandmother, the cast saw a sharp-tongued, fiercely talented professional who could outcuss a sailor and outwrite half the room. On Walton's Mountain, she was the family's moral compass. Off-screen, Ellen Corby was the toughest person on Walton's Mountain. And there you have it, 15 weird and wonderful facts about the Waltons. Which one surprised you the most? Drop your favorites in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this one, hit subscribe and share it with a friend who still tears up at Goodnight John Boy. Until next time, this is Remember When.